Hello, my friends, hello, and welcome once again to Stately Vaughan Manor, where Roger and I have returned to talk about our favorite book covers. We're talking about our favorite book covers today, Roger. Recently, Grammaticus did a video about his 20 favorite book covers, and he said, anybody else who wants to do this? What's that? 10? 10? Who can do only 10? Well, I guess Grammaticus could. And a few other booktubers have also done this, and I guess they only did 10 books. But I break all the rules, Roger. We're talking about 20 today. I couldn't cut it down. So 20, my favorite 20 book covers in no particular order. And these aren't the best book covers in the world. I'm not claiming they're the best. They're just my favorite. These are my 20 favorite book covers. And so we'll start with H.P. Lovecraft. H.P. Lovecraft. This is volume 1 of the Ver Aurum edition of H.P. Lovecraft, edited by S.T. Joshi. And this cover artwork is done by Fergal Fitzpatrick. So Fitzpatrick did 4 covers for this 4-volume set of books. And they're all fantastic and creepy and very glossy, actually. But they're wonderful. And they're wraparound covers. There's H.P. Lovecraft on the back, his portrait. And yeah, they're awesome. This is just an awesome set of books with wonderful covers that are perfect for H.P. Lovecraft. And I love it. I love this first volume's cover most of all. So yeah, this is the first one. This is number 1. And then we'll move on to a Tarzan cover. Now you're going to see a little bit of Tarzan here because, you know, I like Edgar Rice Burroughs an awful lot. And this is a book by Edgar Rice Burroughs and Joe Lansdale. This is Edgar Rice Burroughs' unfinished book, Tarzan, The Lost Adventure. And I love this cover, man. This cover is an awesome illustration of Tarzan staring down this panther up in the trees. It's really, really cool. Now, who did this one? I don't remember. So let me see. Dust Jacket Art. Dean Williams. So apparently Dean Williams did this dust jacket art, and it's completely fantastic. It's not the best Tarzan book, but it's pretty awesome when you have Edgar Rice Burroughs and Joe Lansdale both writing a story. So yeah, there you go. Fantastic cover for Tarzan, The Lost Adventure. I love it. I think it's fantastic. So continuing on with the pulpy covers, here we have Jules de Grandin, another very shiny, glossy cover. So this is from the collected stories of Jules de Grandin, the complete tales of Jules de Grandin, I should say. It's a 5-volume set of stories, and this is my favorite. This is the last volume, and it's my favorite cover. And this cover was done by Donato Giancola. So Giancola did covers for all 5. Actually, he did a best of cover as well. So he did 6 covers for Jules de Grandin. But this is my favorite Jules de Grandin cover. It's very shiny. And it's just cool. There's a lot going on in this cover. We've got Jules de Grandin looking at this skull. We got Dr. Trowbridge in the background there going, what the hell have you gotten me into now, de Grandin? Got people hanging there and hell, what the hell's going on over there? Who knows? It's awesome. It's an awesome, very pulpy Jules de Grandin cover. So there you go. One more hardback, and then we're going to get into the paperbacks. So this is one of the greatest horror anthologies of all time with a cover I just can't help but love. So this is Great Tales of Terror and the Supernatural. And this is the first edition of this very influential horror anthology from the 1940s. And I love the cover. I love the haunted house who's just like, ooh, look, I'm haunted. And we got the moon hanging out there. And it's just really, I just love it. I saw this, I knew I had to have it. I mean, of course I had to have it. I mean, it's Great Tales of Terror and the Supernatural, one of the greatest horror anthologies of all time. And it has that awesome cover, which you can't get anymore. If you buy this new, and I believe you still can, it's got a completely different cover. I guess this was just too frightening. It filled too many people's hearts with terror, Roger. This horrifying cover. I love it. It's fantastic. It's fantastic, Roger. Roger, he doesn't love it as much as me. No taste, Roger. Okay, moving on to the paperbacks. So we've got a couple horror classics here. The horror classics, really. And the first one is Dracula. So this is my favorite edition of Dracula. It's the first edition of Dracula that I ever read. And I absolutely love this really cool skull bat cover. It's fantastic. The artist, it doesn't say anywhere on the book, but it's signed Zagorski. So somebody named Zagorski did this completely awesome cover, and what a fabulous job. The whole design of this paperback is wonderful. It's still my very favorite edition of Dracula ever. It's just beautiful and awesome. It's this old-timey signet paperback. So there you go, Dracula. And you know, Dracula has to be followed up by Frankenstein. And my favorite Frankenstein cover is just this painting of Boris Karloff as the Frankenstein monster. This is, again, the very first edition of Frankenstein I ever read was this Bantam Pathfinder edition of Frankenstein. And got the cover art all by itself on the back. But it's awesome. And so you have this painting of Boris Karloff, and it's actually a painting of the first makeup that was done on Boris Karloff. They changed the makeup after this. This is kind of a test makeup. The makeup artist was Jack Pierce, I believe, who did this. And they created a horrifying monster. Sort of unlike, there's a new Frankenstein movie coming out. And I saw a picture of that monster, and he kind of looks like a male model with some scars. This is a scary monster here. And Jack Pierce got rid of the bolts on the head there, but he kept the bolts on the side of the neck. And it's awesome. Now, who did this cover? I have no idea. And I don't think it's listed anywhere on the book who the cover artist is. So, yeah, for this fantastic edition of Frankenstein, I don't know who did the cover. No idea. But it's really, really cool. Really cool. So there you go. I know who did this next cover. This next cover artist was James Bama. So James Bama, it's got to be a Doc Savage cover, right? Nope. It's Star Trek. It's Star Trek. I love this Bama cover for Star Trek, the first Star Trek book by James Blish. And this art was actually some promotional art done for the television show that was repurposed for this paperback book. They made it the cover of this paperback book, and it's fantastic. Just fantastic cover art for this very first Star Trek paperback by James Blish. Of course, there were a million Star Trek paperbacks that came after this one, but this was the first, and the art is beautiful. Bama is a fantastic artist and did countless beautiful covers. But for whatever reason, probably because it's Star Trek, this is my favorite one. So there you go. Star Trek, James Bama. Cool. Okay, the next one, The Fellowship of the Ring, and that is Darrell K. Sweet doing the cover for The Fellowship of the Ring. And it's just, I love this edition of the Lord of the Rings with the different Darrell K. Sweet covers. My favorite edition of Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. And the paintings that were used for the covers, I think were originally from a calendar, an early 1980s calendar. And it's just perfect, and I love it. I just love these copies of Lord of the Rings. They're my favorite copies, and they're the ones I always read when I'm going to read Lord of the Rings. So there you go. A much different version of the Lord of the Rings than the one we think of now after we've seen the movies. But yeah, fantastic, fantastic cover for this set of books and for this particular paperback. This is my favorite of the Lord of the Rings covers. So there was that for Fellowship of the Ring. The next is a cover from one of those old paperbacks from hell, but it's a Carl Edward Wagner book, and it is defaced by a sticker that's half torn off. And it's this cover. And this cover for Why Not You and I by Carl Edward Wagner. It's such a perfect 1980s paperback from hell horror cover. You know, it's got the skulls going on there. And it's just so cool and moody and perfect for this book. And who did this fantastic cover? I don't know. Let me see if it says. Let me see if it says. Maybe it'll say cover art by J.K. Potter. So J.K. Potter did the cover art for Why Not You and I by Carl Edward Wagner. And it's fantastic. It's a fantastic cover. So there you go. The next is a Jeff Jones cover. And Jeff Jones was an interesting artist. I'm not always a huge fan of all Jeff Jones' work, but this one is pretty cool. Very simple, very cool. It works so wonderfully for this old zebra edition of the Book of Robert E. Howard. Had to have Robert E. Howard show up. And this is the Book of Robert E. Howard with a Jeff Jones cover, which I love. I just love this cover. It's just so simple and cool and awesome and perfect for this paperback. Jeff Jones also did a bunch of other zebra covers. Not all of those were entirely successful, but this one is awful good. So yeah, there you go. The Book of Robert E. Howard, Jeff Jones cover art. There you go. And so let's follow that up with legendary cover artist Michael Whelan. And what could that be? It has to be John Carter, right? Nope, it's not. So Michael Whelan did a magnificent series of John Carter covers, John Carter of Mars covers, which are all fantastic. So you think I would pull out one of those, but actually I'm pulling out this one. This is Robots of Dawn, The Robots of Dawn by Isaac Asimov. And there's just something about this cover that I think is just so beautiful. I just love it. It is my favorite piece of Michael Whelan art. And yeah, I picked this book up as soon as it came out. When did this come out? Was it in the 90s or the 80s? I don't even remember. When did this book come out? Robots of Dawn. I think it was 1983. And this particular edition was from 1984, so I was 13. And of course I picked it up. The Robots of Dawn by Isaac Asimov, Michael Whelan, who can only show up on this list once because of Grammaticus's rules. Otherwise, yeah, those John Carter covers would be up here as well. But look at that. It's awesome. So I do not know who did this next cover. I looked and I couldn't find the artist. This is a Ray Bradbury book. This is The Golden Apples of the Sun. And somebody knows who did this cover, and I just don't know who it is because I couldn't find it. I think this same artist, whoever it is, also did a bunch of other Ray Bradbury books. Pretty sure he did Dandelion Wine. I shouldn't say he because I don't know if it was a he. I don't know who did the cover. But this is awesome. This is just a beautiful cover for The Golden Apples of the Sun. I mean, just look at that. It's so perfect. It's just so perfect for this book. And it's magnificent. Probably the same artist who did this in the background there with a drawing of Ray Bradbury himself. It's all around just fantastic paperback artwork. So yeah, there's that. The Golden Apples of the Sun, Ray Bradbury. What is next? Hold on. Okay. This book was missing from my pile, and I knew it was missing. So the next book, I also don't know who did this cover, but it's probably my favorite Richard Matheson cover of all. And this is for The Shrinking Man, Richard Matheson's The Shrinking Man. This cover is amazing. Whoever did this cover, and somebody knows who did this. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful cover, which is perfect, absolutely perfect for this book. This book is dynamite, by the way. They should all read this book. Everybody should read The Shrinking Man. It's wonderful. Richard Matheson, one of the greatest science fiction, fantasy, horror writers around, had a tremendous influence on so many writers, most notably probably Stephen King. This book is fantastic. The Shrinking Man, and this is just a brilliant cover. I mean, look at it. Whoever did it, great job. So there's the Shrinking Man. Moving on to a very strange cover, which I really, really love. This is for a Clark Ashton Smith book. This is Zikarth from the Ballantine Adult Fantasy series. I mean, look at that weirdness. This is just a totally weird cover, as so many of these adult fantasy books had. And it wraps around its weirdness, and it's just beautiful. It's just a beautiful cover. And this is done by, let's see, cover art by Gervasio Gallardo. Gallardo did this magnificent cover and did a lot of the other covers, I suspect, for the Ballantine Adult Fantasy series. It's beautiful. And this was a glorious set of books. And yeah, I love this particular cover. It's just so weird, man. It's just weird. So there you go. All right, got some more Burroughs here. So this is by Roy Crinkle, and I love Roy Crinkle, one of my very favorite cover artists of all time. Did so many great covers that it's kind of hard to choose, but this one I think is my favorite Crinkle cover of all, and it's for Tanar of Pellucidar. Tanar of Pellucidar. Got a lot of Stone Agey Pellucidar action going on here, but it's just awesome. And I could have picked a bunch of Crinkle covers because he did so much great work. And he did wonderful covers for the Edgar Rice Burroughs books that were published by Ace. And this is my particular favorite of Crinkle's covers. So there you go. Tanar of Pellucidar from the old Ace edition. That's cool. Here's another old Ace edition. And I don't think I knew who the artist is on this one. But like I said, somebody will know. Let me just double check. Nah, it doesn't say. Darn it. And that is for Galactic Derelict by Andre Norton. I could do a whole video on just the best covers for Andre Norton books because there's so many great covers for Andre Norton books. But this was my particular favorite. And this cover art was actually reused for the collection, well, the anthology, The Good Old Stuff. I think it was called The Good Old Stuff. Or The Great Old Stuff. It was one of those. It was one of those. And that was an excellent collection, and they reused this cover art from Galactic Derelict. I don't know the cover artist, but it's wonderful. It's just an absolutely fantastic science fiction paperback cover. And he's trying to get away from that slinky, snaky thing in the background. And it's a pretty good book, too, actually. Galactic Derelict, pretty good. So there you go. Fantastic cover. Look at that. It's magnificent. Now, going to get to the shadow, which means Steranko. So Steranko, great comic book artist and cover artist Steranko. Kind of hard to pick just one cover, but it had to be one of Steranko's shadow covers because his shadow covers are fabulous. And this is the ultimate shadow cover that Steranko did. The magnificent Steranko. We got the shadow there hanging onto that chain. We got a damsel in distress in this weird tube thing. And we've got the evil mastermind down there. It's just great. And all of Steranko's covers for the shadow paperbacks were just magnificent. I love them all. But this is my personal favorite. I just love it. I love this one. This is for The Silent Death. The Silent Death. It's amazing. So there you go. Okay, now we have a couple of Tarzans, a couple more Tarzan books. You know you gotta get some Tarzan. And this next one is a Neil Adams cover. Neil Adams, who's best known now for being a comic book artist drawing Batman, and what great Batman comics they were. But he also did some Tarzan covers, and this is for the very first Tarzan novel, Tarzan of the Apes, where Jane is in a bit of trouble, and Tarzan has to rush up and save Jane from this vicious ape. And it's, of course, a great novel, Tarzan of the Apes, magnificent book, and this is an excellent cover by Neil Adams. He did some pretty good covers for this set of black-bordered Tarzan books. The black-bordered Tarzan books are the best. They were the books that were in print when I was just a kid collecting Tarzan for the first time. This black bordered set, and I love this particular cover by Neil Adams. So there you go. And the next is by Boris Vallejo, who we knew had to show up on this list somewhere. Again, Boris has done so many wonderful covers. And this particular cover is my favorite. It is a Tarzan cover. And it's this one for Tarzan and the Castaways. It's just stunningly beautiful. This is a beautiful, beautiful cover where we have Tarzan and the elephant. It's beautiful. It's beautifully done. It's very much in Boris's style. But it's just so effective. This is such an effective cover. He did some great Tarzan covers too, but this is, I think, the best one. So Tarzan and the Castaways, which leaves us with one more cover. And of course, it has to be Frank Frazetta. Frank Frazetta, who is the greatest cover artist of all time. But how do you pick just one Frazetta book or one Frazetta cover? Hard. That's a tough one. I had to think about it. But I think this is my favorite Frazetta cover right here. And it is one of the Conan covers, and it is this one for Conan the Usurper. And this is for the story, The Scarlet Citadel. What a magnificent cover. I mean, it's pretty much perfect. This is like the perfect cover. It's amazing. And we got the giant snake. A lot of giant snakes showing up in Robert E. Howard stories. We've got Conan there at bay. And it's just awesome. It's just an awesome, beautiful cover. It was tough just picking one Frank Frazetta cover because it's hard to go wrong with Frank Frazetta. But this is my personal favorite of all of Frank Frazetta's covers. So there you go, Conan the Usurper. That was my 20 favorite covers. I could have done a 100 favorite covers, but that's a lot of books to pile up. Check out Grammaticus's original video. I will link Grammaticus down below. There have been a bunch of videos for the 10 favorite book covers. But I couldn't, like I said, I couldn't do just 10, had to do 20. So there you go. I will catch you next time.